When I first heard about this movie and that Joaquin Phoenix was involved, I got pretty excited, because he is easily one of the greatest actors working today. But not only that, he also has a tendency to pick very interesting projects. And one of the things that really piqued my interest early on was that this was described as a character study, more so than a more traditional superhero movie. It would actually focus more on the character of the Joker. And that sounded really intriguing to me. However, when it came to the director, Todd Phillips, the name rang a bell, but I couldn't quite place him and actually had to look him up. Well, turns out he's the guy who made all those comedies like Due Date and the Hangover movies. Movies I didn't really care that much for, if we're being totally honest. However, his last movie, War Dogs, I did find to be pretty good actually. And a bit of a different type of movie, even though still essentially a comedy. But when it comes to this one, Joker, it's stylistically a very different movie. It's a clear departure from what he's done before and not really a comedy at all. In fact, this is a pretty bleak, dark and tragic movie with some comedy in it. And even just visually, this is something else, like nothing I've seen from him before. Because it's a strong movie visually and very well made on a more technical level. From the direction to the editing, the cinematography, the production design, it's all very good. And the way Todd Phillips handles the tone, the mood and the atmosphere in this is excellent. He really sells you on this sort of grim, dark, depressing Gotham City of the 70s. And he really paints a picture of the kind of sad life the protagonist leads to. Speaking of which, this is absolutely a character study of kind of a broken man. A man who's had a hard life and just doesn't seem to be able to catch a break. And a man who's got quite a few issues going on and isn't exactly the most stable person. And what the movie does is, it essentially follows this man's descent into madness, of which he is already on the brink to start off with, although he does seem to try to cling on. And it's a very, very slow and brooding movie for most of the runtime. There's not a ton of action or a lot of exciting stuff going on. The focus is very much on this man and his life and his increasingly intriguing circumstances. And it really tries to get inside his head and to make you understand him, I guess. And I would say it does a great job with that, and Joaquin Phoenix's performance is absolutely a major part of that. Speaking of which, I mean, he's fantastic. Do I even need to point that out? He does a phenomenal job and I love his take on the character. It's distinct and different from the earlier versions, but still very good. He made it his own, in a way only he could have. Now, I will say I was still sorta on the fence about this movie as a whole for most of the runtime actually. I wasn't 100% convinced by it for whatever reason, but then things sorta escalated and picked up there toward the end. And I just loved how it brought it all together and what they did with it. It definitely worked for me and it did win me over completely by the end of it. And to be honest, I've been trying to find things to complain about, because giving this nothing but praise is just kinda boring. But I can't really even find very much to nitpick about, to be honest. It's just such a well-made movie all around, with very few weak spots. And I just want to see more movies like this, that think outside the box, that aren't afraid to step outside the established superhero formula. And movies that take a more grounded approach to the genre as well. Movies like this and Unbreakable, which this did remind me a bit of in certain ways. But yeah, Todd Phillips and the crew did a fantastic job with this one. And it's absolutely among my favorite movies of the year so far. Is it at the very top? I don't know, it might be. It's definitely up there. So yeah, would I recommend this? Yeah, however, keep in mind it is a very dark and brooding movie, and therefore probably not to everyone's liking. So you know, maybe check it out, maybe don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you and thanks for watching.